Well, if the Liberals propping up Mark Carney didn't concern you, then maybe this will. Carney standing behind candidate Paul Chang, who suggested Conservative be turned over to China for bounty. In December, Hong Kong police issued a bounty and arrest warrant for Tay worth 1 million Hong Kong dollars, and this just simply tells you everything you need to know about this individual. If you didn't think Mark Carney was bad enough, here he is literally propping up a man calling for a bounty on an opponent, a political opponent, coming out that Paul Chang was a former police officer. Got all sorts of things coming out here, but the simple fact is, this collusion goes really far. We have Jamil Javani. Why won't Mark Carney fire his candidate who called for a Canadian citizen to be turned over to Beijing in return for a Chinese Communist Party bounty? This is some absolutely wild shit coming out here. This guy, Mark Carney, just propped up temporarily so the Liberals have somebody they can run off of. And every week, more and more controversies come out surrounding this man. The list goes on. And I remember Trudeau tried to say that the Conservatives were compromised, that they had ties to foreign interference. But it's coming out here that this Liberal candidate is actually calling for a Conservative to be handed over to the CCP.
Mark Carney may not have been out on the campaign trail today, but he is facing growing pressure to fire a Liberal Party candidate after the incumbent MP said his opponent should be turned over to the Chinese government. CTV's Judy Trin reports.
No family should ever have to worry about their safety.
Incumbent Liberal Paul Chang, a former police officer in Ontario's York region, took aim at Conservative rival Joe Tay, a democracy activist in ethnic media. In a January interview with Ming Pao News, Chang urged people to bring Tay to the Chinese consulate in Toronto to collect a bounty of 1 million Hong Kong dollars.
This is the most kind of obvious example of the manifestation of China's foreign interference when a incumbent MP would say something like that to the press.
Hi, I'm Joe Tay.
Before he was a Conservative candidate, Tay, born in Hong Kong, criticized the region's administration for obeying China's orders to crack down on civilian rights. The opposition is calling on the Liberal leader to fire Chang as a candidate.
If Mark Carney would allow his Liberal MP to make a comment like this, when would he ever protect Canada or Canadians against foreign hostility?
Absolutely never, and this proves it right here. He is standing up for a guy that does not have Canadian values.
He is a police officer, and he ought to know that when the CCP went out and put a bounty on anybody, including Canadians, that cannot be acceptable.
Drawing more attention to the specter of foreign interference, Tay is running in Don Valley North, the same riding that former Liberal Han Dong represented. A commission looking into foreign interference cleared Dong of claims he had advised Chinese officials. As Mark Carney's campaign shifts to the Toronto region, the Liberals say Chang has apologized for his significant lapse in judgment and is clear he'll stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Hong Kong.
A significant lapse in judgment. This is not just significant, this is massive. This is upon levels that should never have happened in the first place. This man should not be a running candidate.
But democracy advocates say they are unsure about that commitment. According to Statistics Canada, nearly half of the residents in Markham are ethnic Chinese. 1 in 5 come from China. Mark Carney says all the Liberal candidates have been carefully vetted for foreign interference, but it has
Clearly not carefully enough, because more and more things continue to come out. We have a clip from Pierre here saying Carney is unwilling to stand up for Canada amid Paul Chang controversy.
Well, it is a teachable moment. It teaches us that Mark Carney will never stand up for Canada. He's keeping on a Liberal candidate who said that people should turn over the Conservative candidate to a bounty by the Chinese government, which wants to kill him. The Chinese government wants to literally kill Joe Tay because he's a political dissident. And this candidate said that that should happen. Mark Carney keeps that candidate on his roster to be in Parliament. It shows that Carney is more interested in pleasing Beijing because they lent him $250 million for his company He is compromised. I have never in my life seen a prime minister unwilling to protect a Canadian citizen against a foreign government that wants to take his life through a bounty. If Mark Carney won't stand up for a Canadian against this foreign hostile regime now, how could we ever expect him to stand up for Canada after the election?
Have you spoken to Joe Tay?
I have spoken to Joe Tay. Yesterday I spoke to him. He's very, very rattled. This is not, let's be clear, this is not about an inappropriate or off-color joke. These comments by this Liberal candidate may well rise to the level of criminal, because they called for someone to be turned over to a hostile foreign government on a bounty, a government that wants to kill this Canadian citizen.
And that's what I was just thinking as well. This isn't a little joke or jab you hear during question period. This is literally calling for somebody to be sent over to China to be unalived. And earlier this year, China executed 4 dual citizen Canadians due to drug-related charges.
And Mr. Joe Tay is extremely afraid. He's afraid for his life. And I think he is probably rattled by the fact that the Prime Minister of Canada is siding with a Liberal MP who has made these horrific and dangerous comments against a Canadian citizen, against the life of a fellow Canadian citizen.
He's not only siding with him, it sounds like he's siding directly with what China wants. It seems like Carney's best interests are not for Canadians, but it's very deep-seated within our parliamentary system. And when you had Trudeau last year calling out the Conservatives for this very thing, more or less, and meddling in foreign interference, should be very concerning for everybody who all of a sudden just wants to prop up Mark Carney because they threw in a new face in the Liberal Party. Should be extremely concerning. That's where these people's minds are. They do not truly care. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.